Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Hamilton Southeastern Basketball on Audio Sports Online. Tonight, the season finale as the Royals host the Wildcats from Lawrence North on Audio Sports Online. Good evening, everybody. I'm Brian Scott. Thanks for joining me on this Thursday evening, the finale of the 2016-2017 regular season before sectionals begin next week, as the Royals will be in the Carmel sectional, and they'll play the very first game of the sectional in Carmel, and they'll do it against longtime rival Fishers. We're going to be talking about that, and we may be talking about a lot of things here as we're waiting, and I believe our second official has finally shown up. We've been waiting for our second official for the junior varsity game, and he just walked in the building. So we do have two officials, and this JV game will start reasonably on time. So we'll be talking more about sectional play coming up during the varsity game. Again, Hamilton Southeastern will play Fishers in the sectional opener, a Fishers team that did all they could to help out Hamilton Southeastern last Friday night when the Royals traveled to Brownsburg with a chance to be Hoosier Crossroads Conference co-champions. They needed some help from the Tigers to beat Zionsville. The Tigers did that in overtime. However, the Royals couldn't keep their end of the bargain. They fell to Brownsburg, and Zionsville became the Hoosier Crossroads Conference champions. But, again, we'll be talking more about that as we get the varsity game underway a little bit later on. But tonight, junior varsity action, the final JV game of the season. Let's give you the starting lineups for the Lawrence North Wildcats. The JV head coach is Jim Stanbro, and his lineup will feature a 5'11 freshman at guard, Jeremy Lee. The other guard is a 6-foot sophomore, Trey Jackson. At forward, a 6'2 freshman, Tyran Rogers. At forward, a 6'3 sophomore, David Perkins. And at center, a 6'5 sophomore, Joel Hendrick. So once again, for the Wildcats, the backcourt will have Jackson and Lee, and the front court will have Rogers, Hendrick, and Perkins. That's the starting lineup for Lawrence North. For Dave America's Hamilton Southeastern Royals, he'll have his starting lineup at a guard, a 5'8 freshman, Bradley Beam, and the other guard will be a 5'11 junior, Josh Fugate. At forward, a 6-foot junior, Dayland Hooks. At forward, making his first appearance in quite a while, a 6'4 freshman, Chris Grubbs. And at center, a 7'1 freshman, Mabor Majak. So once again, starting lineup for the Royals in this JV contest, Beam and Fugate the backcourt. The front court is Hooks, Grubbs, and Majak. And we are ready for some junior varsity basketball. Your Hamilton Southeastern Royals in the home white with the royal blue numerals and royal blue trim, while the Wildcats are in the road greens with the white numerals and the red trim. It'll be Majak jumping center against Hedrick, and we're ready for some basketball. The officials have made their way. They've got two, and we're ready for basketball. The tip is controlled by Hamilton Southeastern as Josh Fugate brings the ball in the front court, and this game's underway here on a Thursday night as the Royals will look at a 2-3 zone, and Bradley Beeman will pop a three from the left wing, and that is how we get this game started, with a three from Beeman. And the Royals take the lead as we are just underway. First possession for the Royals ends up with a three. There's a bit of a pick and roll, but well defended by Grubbs as the Wildcats move it around. This is David Perkins with the basketball. He'll leave it left side. Dribbling is Trey Jackson. His shot top of the key, no good. Grubbs with a rebound. Again, Grubbs, his first action in quite a while, and he loses the basketball as he was driving left side. Got a foot on the baseline, and turnover gives the ball back to the Wildcats. Royals lead 3-0. 6:14 left to go in this first quarter. Again, I'm Brian Scott. We appreciate you joining us for Royals basketball all season long. We will have sectional action for you next week on Audio Sports Online. However, this is our last video game. As dribbling the basketball is David Perkins. IHSA regulations will not allow us to do video during the tournament. However, we will do audio, so be more like a traditional radio broadcast, and we will be in Carmel next week. Here's a jumper from about 14 foot out. That shot's no good by Jeremy Lee, and Grubbs has it for Southeastern. They'll swing it left side. Fugate down to Majak. Majak throws it back out to Hooks. Of course, this is the final JV game as Fugate's three rattles around, is not dropped, and the ball goes out of bounds off of Jeremy Lee, and will stay with the Royals. Final JV game, and when we take a look at some of these players for Hamilton Southeastern, of course, Mabor Majak will likely be looking at some varsity minutes as Bradley Beeman has 2 shots and 2 threes to give the Royals a 6-0 lead. Majak, as the season has gone along, the 7'2" freshman, he started the season 7'1". They now say he's 7'2". Still a little raw as Grubbs has the steal. He'll take it and flush it down with a run hand. And just like that, Hamilton Southeastern is out to an 8-0 advantage on the strength of a pair of Beeman threes and a Grubbs flush. With the basketball, Tyran Rogers, they'll swing it right side to Jeremy Lee. Lee, trapped in the lane, is finally able to send it back out to Rogers. His shot no good. Grubbs with a rebound. Chris Grubbs, also a player that Southeastern will likely be looking to next season, as he is only a freshman, but he has shown some good scoring instincts, good job of slashing to the bucket, as well as a good shot. When you think of Hamilton Southeastern losing their all-time leading scorer to graduation this season and Zach Gunn, Chris Grubbs looks like a player that might be stepping into that role as we get ready for next season. Also, some other players that we've seen that could likely be making that jump next season. Of course, Nick Bowman started the season on the JV squad. He's now been playing the better part of this last half of the season on the varsity level. Again, Majak will likely get some minutes, and as I mentioned, Mabor's still working on a bit of an offensive game, but he shoots free throws rather well, though he can be a little streaky. But the one big improvement we've seen out of the big 7'2" freshman is his rim protection. He's been showing excellent defense, just like you saw right there. And that has been something that's been very impressive out of the big fella. That ball gets away. He's not able to bring it down as the Wildcats finally get their first point of the game. Tyran Rogers gives them their first points with 3:38 left to go in this first quarter as Deland Hook's jumper is no good. Beeman with a rebound. Royals lead 8-2. Majak from about 8 foot tried to use the glass, but it rolls off, and here comes the Wildcats the other way. Again, we're seeing Majak being very, very active defensively. And even if his offensive game isn't quite where they may like it at the start of next season, is driving rather wildly was David Perkins. Majak with a rebound, bounce pass to Beeman. Beeman finds Grubbs. Grubbs in the lane, scoops it up, won't get the bucket. Ball comes out. Fugate tried to throw it underneath to Majak, but not a very good pass, and it goes out of bounds. As I said, if Majak doesn't have really the offensive game still, his rim protection, his defense has been very good. And if he can just get down low to where he can draw some fouls with the obvious double teams that are going to come, he has shown that he can sink free throws. So the offensive game, I believe, will come, and, of course, he's going to put on a little more weight. Here's a three. That one's on its way. Shot no good by Trey Jackson, and Majak with a rebound to Grubbs. 8-2 Royals, 2:39 left to go first quarter. Here's Fugate, finds Beeman, who has a pair of threes. The Hooks back to Beeman as they look over this 2-3 zone, and Fugate will take it between the circles, go left side to Beeman. Josh Fugate steps into a three. That one's off, and chasing the rebound is Majak, but he throws it away. I think he was expecting Fugate possibly to still be beyond the arc, but Fugate was making a cut toward the basket, and the ball goes out of bounds and will belong to the Wildcats, who trail by 6 with 2:19 remaining. Josh Fugate also, he'll be a senior next year and likely to see several minutes as driving and scoop shot no good by Trey Jackson. Majak with a rebound will go the other way. Beeman right side to Grubbs. Ball fake. Has it poked away, and it'll belong, they'll say it'll belong to Lawrence North. A minute 59 left to go in this first quarter. 8-2 in favor of the Royals. Pair of Beeman threes. Got the Royals off to a quick start, but they've been kind of plodding along here the last couple of minutes. But the Wildcats have yet to be able to really mount anything offensively, as both teams have kept their starters on the floor, though Royals look like Brandon Miller, I believe, is going to check in on the next dead ball. Here's a ball tipped away into the hands of Grubbs. Grubbs brings it the other way, takes it himself, leaves it up off the glass. And Grubbs has 4 points, and the lead's 8 at 10-2 with 1:20 left to play in the first quarter. Hardly any whistles here in this first quarter as Jeremy Lee drives, and now the one whistle we will get will be a traveling violation. Actually, it'll be Matt Harris and Cole Hornbuckle checking in on the dead ball, as Bradley Beeman will sit, as will Josh Fugate. Royals lead 10-2. 1:06 remains in this first period. I'm Brian Scott. Thanks for joining me for Royals basketball all season long here on ASO. As Hooks gets a screen from Hornbuckle, gives the ball back to Cole, and who gives it to Matt Harris. 52 seconds remain. Left side to Hornbuckle, back between the circles to Matt Harris. 10-2 in favor of Southeastern, trying to set up Majak down low, and the pass is knocked away, and here come the Wildcats. Royals back on defense. And pushing the ball will be Trey Jackson. They'll wave it off, and we have our first foul of this basketball game with 36.1 seconds remaining, and it will go against Hamilton Southeastern. And it'll go against Matt Harris, his first, team first, as they'll get the ball down low into Joel Hedrick, who will have to send it back up top to David Perkins. 30 seconds remain in the period. Hamilton Southeastern leads by 8. Perkins gives the ball to Hedrick. They swing it around left side to Trey Jackson and then back down low. At the free throw line, poked away. Grubbs anticipated the pass. He's got the basketball, takes it himself, left it short, however. And Perkins has the rebound, and here comes the Wildcats with 9 seconds remaining. Down to 5, down to 4. Dribbling the basketball as Perkins takes it into the lane, and he's going to be bailed out with a personal foul called against Southeastern. With 1.1 second remaining, Mabor Majak with his first, second team. They'll say that it was not in the act of shooting, so the Wildcats with 1.1 second, and they leave Hedrick all alone, but Grubbs blocks the shot, and that is the end of the first period of play. Good defense by Hamilton Southeastern in this first period, and they lead by 8 with the score. Hamilton Southeastern 10, Lawrence North 2. This is Royals basketball on ASO. We're ready for second quarter action. I'm Brian Scott. Hamilton Southeastern leads Lawrence North by the score of 10-2. Bradley Beeman with a pair of threes to start the scoring for Southeastern, and a couple of buckets from Chris Grubbs. That's the scoring for the Southeastern Royals, what Tyran Rogers had the only points for the Wildcats. And to begin the second quarter, it'll be Tony Perkins in for the Wildcats. He will join Trey Perkins. Also on the floor here is Perkins. He'll have to kick it out. Tony Perkins, that is. They'll send it out to the corner. Jackson Moulton in, as well as Andre Kirk. And they will send it down low, trying to work against Mabor Majak was Tyran Rogers. And Majak grimacing a little like he might have been hit in the hip. To begin the second quarter for Southeastern, it will be Chris Grubbs. He'll be joined by Josh Fugate, Matt Harris, Mabor Majak, and Cole Hornbuckle, who has the basketball right now. Hornbuckle left side to Fugate, down to Harris. Harris thought about the three, instead finds Chris Grubbs. Grubbs back to Fugate. 10-2, that's the score. We are just underway in the second quarter with the Royals with the lead. Driving is Harris, out to Grubbs, steps into a three. That one's no good, too strong, and here come the Wildcats. Long outlet is stolen by Grubbs. Grubbs the other way to Fugate. Fugate leaves it to Majak. Majak tosses it out to Grubbs, and they will reset the offense. Grubbs with 4 points, but like I said, this is his first game action in quite a while, and while his defense looks excellent, a little rusty right now offensively. And he'll get the basketball. He'll drive left elbow, kick it out to Harris, and Harris will bring it back out. Now, nice little crossover, gets away from the defender but can't make the shot. Lawrence North on the quick back into the front court. Three by Moulton is no good. Hornbuckle with a rebound. Royals got back defensively very nicely there as Lawrence North pushed it up the court. And now Coach Dave Merica is going to call a timeout, and he will call a full timeout. With 5:14 left to go in this first half, Hamilton Southeastern leads Lawrence North 10-2. That was our score when we began this quarter. I'm Brian Scott. Final game of the regular season. And then it will be on to sectionals for the varsity, of course. And they will play the very first game of the Carmel sectional, taking place on Tuesday. And they will take on long time. We can say long time now. We've gone through a couple of classes at least, the Fishers Tigers. And that should be a very interesting rematch. When you take a look at the Carmel sectional, of course, you immediately think of Hamilton Southeastern and Carmel being the top of the sectional. But Fishers has played very well. Of course, they're coming off of beating Zionsville. And they gave Hamilton Southeastern all they could handle down at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum on Mudsock Madness night before the Royals won in overtime. So that should be a very, very interesting matchup. Should Hamilton Southeastern win, then they got an excellent chance playing on Saturday, but they're going to have to get through a tough Fishers team first before they can think about doing that. Out of the timeout, no changes, and it'll be Matt Harris triggering the inbound to Fugate. 10-2, Royals up by 8, 5:11 left to go in the first half. Fugate left side to Hornbuckle as Grubbs cut baseline. Now they give him to it back in the corner. He'll find Majak. Majak out to Hornbuckle. Hornbuckle launches a three, and he will nail it. That is the third three-point basket for Hamilton Southeastern, and they lead 13-2. First points of this second quarter by either team, and it gives the Royals an 11-point lead. Driving with the basketball, Jackson Moulton. He will kick it out, and finally getting the jumper to fall is Tony Perkins. And cuts the deficit down to 9, but Matt Harris in the lane gets the bump, won't get the bucket, but he's going to earn a trip to the free throw line. As the first foul against the Wildcats has been called. And Andre Kirk will be hit with his first personal foul. So Matt Harris at the line to shoot a pair. And he hits the first. Dayland Hooks is in. Chris Grubbs will take a seat. Grubbs with 4 points. Meanwhile, Harris sinks both free throws. He has his first 2 points and leads back to 11 with 4:27 left to go in the first half. Into the front court come the Wildcats. They get it down into the corner. That is Kirk, and he will send it up top. Rogers, left side, gives it to Tony Perkins. Back to Moulton. This is Trey Perkins. Trey Perkins started the game, as did Tyran Rogers, who's also in. Trey Perkins up top. Moulton over to Tony Perkins. And he will launch the three, and that's way off the side. But Johnny on the spot is Jackson Moulton, and he's able to get the rebound. And now a whistle and a foul will be called against the Royals. Cole Hornbuckle will pick up his first personal. 13 foul against Southeastern. And the Wildcats inbound trailing by 9. Here's a jumper beyond the free throw line by Jackson Moultown, but a steal by Trey Perkins, and he was trying to leave it up there for Tyran Rogers and ended up throwing it high and off the hands of Rogers. Perkins might have thought Rogers was going to go up for a little bit of a mini alley-oop, but it goes off his hands, and the turnover gives the ball back to Southeastern, up by 11. Fugate lobs it to Majak. Majak works, turns around, lays it off the glass. Little strong, but he gets the bucket. And Mabor Majak has his first points, and it's a 13-point lead for Southeastern. It's 17-4 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the half. Andre Kirk dribbles, now send it out to Trey Perkins. And now they will have a timeout called by Wildcat head coach, or JV head coach, I should say, Jim Stanbro. And it'll be a 30-second timeout with the Wildcats having all sorts of problems just getting any offensive game going. And a lot of that is attributed to excellent defense by Hamilton Southeastern here in this first half. As the Royals lead 17-4, I'm Brian Scott on a Thursday night. And if we could, we'd play this game outdoors. It is absolutely warm and gorgeous. It has been a little cloudy today. And by the time we join you next week at Carmel, well, things will have cooled down a little bit. No changes out of the timeout with the Wildcats taking the basketball in the backcourt and Trey Jackson bringing it back up front. He will send it right side to Tony Perkins. I said Trey Perkins. Trey Perkins is Trey Jackson. Either way, it's been a tough road for Lawrence North, and we're going to have another blocking foul called as making a move was Andre Kirk on Cole Hornbuckle. And Cole's going to pick up his second, 14 foul. And Bradley Beeman's going to check back in for Coach Dave Merica. Beeman with 6 points. He launched and nailed a pair of threes to get the Royals scoring underway to begin this game. And he's back in. 17-4, 2:46 left to go first half. As they move it right side, this is Tony Perkins with the basketball. Picks it up the right elbow, gives it to Moulton. Moulton gives it to Kirk. Kirk's three off the rim, and weak side rebounded, taken by Matt Harris, who will send it over to Dayland Hooks. Hooks in the lane, forces it up, and shoots it and hits the bottom of the rim. They try to bounce past it, but Chris Grubbs with the steal. Grubbs left side to Beeman. Beeman in the lane, back to Grubbs on a nice bounce pass. Grubbs sends it out to Fugate. Fugate in the lane, little runner, no good. Fugate taps it out to Beeman. Beeman drives, and now he'll bring it back out and send it over to Grubbs. Royals with another chance as we hit the 2-minute mark left to go in the first half. Southeastern leads 17-4. Beeman to Grubbs. Grubbs thought about a baseline drive and now send it to Harris. Harris ball fake over to Fugate, gets the man in the air, and maybe a little too much passing right now by Hamilton Southeastern, passing up a few shots, but again, they lead by 13. Beeman to Fugate, to Harris, doesn't take the shot, and then he will find Dayland Hooks with 1:30 remaining. 17-4, Southeastern with a lead, being very patient here on this set. They got a second chance in this possession. Hooks, little pick and roll action with Grubbs, and Grubbs is going to be called for traveling as he took the pass and then took a step before putting the ball on the court. So a long possession ends in a turnover for the Royals, but they lead by 13 at 17-4 with 1:11 left to play in the first half. Kirk drives baseline and works, hangs up in the air, did a good job, nice acrobatic move to get Matt Harris in the air, and it's down to an 11-point lead for the Royals at 17-6, 50 seconds. Driving Harris, He will not get the bucket, but he's going to earn another trip to the free throw line. Tyrion Rogers with his first. Only the second team foul, but this is the second time that Matt Harris has made a trip to the free throw line, and he is 2 of 2 so far tonight. First free throw is good. Mabor Majak is back in. He'll come in for Dayland Hooks, or excuse me, for Josh Fugate. Meanwhile, Harris, 3 for 3 so far from the line in this basketball game. One more free throw on the way. That hits front iron and will not drop, and Tyran Rogers gets the rebound. They'll get it to King and then get it back to Rogers, and Rogers will have it with 40 seconds left. Spins in the lane, works against Majak, leaves the layup too strong, but getting the rebound as he comes away on the weak side is Tyran Rogers once again, and he now has 4 points and a whistle and a timeout, and Majak is going to have to be taken care of. I don't know if he's bleeding. That has seemingly been an issue with Mabor. Of course, he finds himself down there quite often where people are reaching for the basketball, and he's had a few times he's been poked, and evidently he is bleeding because they're looking to maybe clean up certain spots. So we're going to have a little bit of a break while they clean up some blood on the court. With 27.7 seconds remaining in this first half, Hamilton Southeastern leads the Wildcats of Lawrence North by the score of 18-8. And junior varsity action, varsity game to follow on Audio Sports Online. And again, this is our regular season finale before sectionals begin. And again, this will be our last video game of the season due to IHSA regulations. We are not allowed to do video during tournament, as they have all their great reasons that they like to give us, but we simply can only do audio. So we will be doing that coming up on Tuesday, and we'll be talking more about Tuesday in the varsity contest. Still, 27.7 seconds remain in this half as Fugate is back in, and Beeman works to get it into the front court, which he does, but it's stolen away. With the basketball, Trey Perkins, he will get the bucket off the steal. And Tony Perkins, with the bucket. 9 seconds, they'll send it to Fugate. Fugate drives, runner. That will drop and count the basket. So Fugate gets the bucket, and he will draw the foul. And we'll go against Tyran Rogers, his second. And that makes it 20-10 with 5.1 seconds, and Fugate looking for the three-point play, which he converts. Josh with his first points. Down to 3 seconds, 2 seconds. The shot is up. It's good if it counts, but it doesn't count because it's not good, and that's the end of the first half. Our score, Hamilton Southeastern leads Lawrence North by the score of 21-10. Check back with us in about 6 minutes. We're going to have some halftime stats and get ready for second half action. This is Royals basketball on ASO. Halftime at Hamilton Southeastern High School. Junior varsity action, and the Royals lead the Wildcats of Lawrence North by the score of 21-10. I'm Brian Scott. Both teams have made their way back out onto the floor as they warm up for the second half. We'll give you some numbers here as the Royals jumped out to an early lead and really have never looked back. Currently they lead by 11. They have led by as much as 13. Hamilton Southeastern is led by 6 points from Bradley Beeman, 4 points from Chris Grubbs, 3 points each from Josh Fugate, Matt Harrison, Cole Hornbuckle, and 2 points from Mabor Majak. Dayland Hooks has played. He has yet to score. For the Wildcats of Lawrence North, 4 points each from Tyran Rogers and Tony Perkins, and 2 points from Andre Kirk, and that's the extent of the Wildcats scoring. The Royals were 4 or 5 from the free throw line in that first half. They hit 3 3-point baskets. Both of Bradley Beeman's baskets come from beyond the arc, and the Royals also got a traditional 3-point play off of Josh Fugate. So that is where we stand as we get ready for the second half. It will be senior night here at Hamilton Southeastern High School, as is the traditional custom for the final regular season game, and Hamilton Southeastern will be acknowledging a few seniors tonight, as they will have 7 seniors that will be honored tonight, and we'll be telling you more about that as we get ready for the varsity game a little later on. But right now, junior varsity action. Final game for the JV squad this season is sectionals begin next week. As we made our way to Hamilton Southeastern, we saw the girls softball team with practice today. And as warm as it's been, I'm sure both the Royals softball and baseball teams have both enjoyed a little outdoor practice time this week, something you don't normally see in February. So I'm sure they were glad to get a little bit of practice time outside before maybe having to return to the gyms and hitting in the cages for the next few weeks. So we're about ready for our second half action here from Hamilton Southeastern High School. Thanks for joining me. I'm Brian Scott. Thanks for joining us all season long on Audio Sports Online. Also, again, our final video game of the season. When we begin sectionals next week, it will be audio only. That is per IHSAA, so not much we can do about that. But we'll be joining you from Carmel on Tuesday night when the Royals take on Fishers. To start the second half, Coach Dave Merica will have the same starting lineup he did to begin this contest. Bradley Beeman, Josh Fugate, Chris Grubbs, Dayland Hooks, and Mabor Majak. And for Jim Stanbro's Lawrence North Wildcats, same is true, as it will be, I believe they do have one change. Tony Perkins will start the second half instead of David Perkins. He'll join Trey Jackson, Jeremy Lee, Tyran Rogers, and Joel Hedrick. Driving right side, that is Dayland Hooks. And Dayland Hooks, who did not have a point in the first half, he'll score the first points of the second half. And it's back to a 13-point lead, the largest lead of the game for Hamilton Southeastern. Actually, I said Hedrick is out there. It is not. They sent out Andre Kirk instead of Joel Hedrick. So some changes for Coach Jim Stanbro, who really he was looking for some offense. He got 8 points in that second quarter. That shot is no good off of the hands of Dorian Hatton, who is in the game. As they send it to the corner, Grubbs, his 3, that is just short. He follows it up to get the rebound, and they'll say he had a foot on the baseline when he touched the basketball, and that'll give the ball back to Lawrence North. So it is Dorian Hatton joining Tony Perkins, Trey Jackson, Andre Kirk, and Jackson Moulton. So big changes for the Wildcats to begin the second half. As Hatton is seeing his first action, as that ball will end up in the back court, and turnover will give the ball back to Southeastern, who leads 23-10. 5:36 left to go, third quarter in this junior varsity contest. I'm Brian Scott as Hooks inbounds the ball to Fugate. Fugate back to Hooks as they try to spread things out. Beeman around a Grubbs screen. They're looking to get the ball into Majak. Instead, they'll send it back to Chris. Grubbs in the lane. Right-hand runner. That's up and good. Chris Grubbs, he has 6 points. He ties Beeman for team and game-high honors, and it's now a 15-point lead for Hamilton Southeastern. And they'll swing it around. Here is Moulton. His shot, no good. Grubbs with a rebound. Chris into the front court, takes it himself, lays it up and reverses it and gets the bucket. And Grubbs, he now has 8 points. And Southeastern has gone on a 6-0 run to begin the third quarter, and that's going to cause Coach Jim Stanbro, who looks like he tried to make some changes to get some offense here in this second half to start the second half. Instead, he's watched Southeastern go on a 6-0 run, and he's going to call a timeout with 4 minutes and 51 seconds left to go in the third quarter. And Hamilton Southeastern leading Lawrence North by the score of 27-10. People still making their way here to the gym tonight. Again, it is senior night, and they'll be honoring the 7 seniors that are playing their last home game. But they hope not the last of their basketball careers, as again the sectionals will be on Tuesday, and hope to see a nice long run. Hamilton Southeastern has won 3 sectional titles in school history. They have yet to win a regional title. Meanwhile, you take a look at this Lawrence North team, and it probably goes without saying, a very long and storied career, and we'll be talking about what they have coming up in sectional play. They'll be playing in a very tough sectional because they're going to have to take on Warren Central to begin their sectional run. And, of course, they have Warren Central and North Central in their same sectional, 2 of the top teams in the state of Indiana in Class 4A. As we are out of the timeout, Royals lead by 17. Moulton drives. He kicks it to Kirk. Andre Kirk sends it up top, and Tyran Rogers is in. He gives the ball to Tony Perkins. Perkins' shot no good. Rebound is blocked on the putback by Rogers, but they're going to get Mabor with it over the back. So Mabor with his second foul and the first foul of the second half for Hamilton Southeastern. And this is the first free throw attempt of the contest for the Wildcats. And Tyran Rogers misses the first. Hamilton Southeastern was 4 of 5 from the charity stripe in the first half. And as I mentioned, this is Lawrence North's first free throw attempts. And Tyran Rogers splits the free throws. He has 5 points, and the Wildcats have their first point of the second half, but they trail by 16 with 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining at 27-11. Here's Majak. Left elbow, finds Chris Grubbs. Grubbs works, spins, now looks to give the ball away. Finds Fugate to Beeman. Beeman creates some space, launches the 3, rims out, no good. And it's Rogers with a rebound. Quickly up the court are the Wildcats, and we're going to have a foul as driving was Andre Kirk as they look to see who I believe it's going to go against Josh Fugate. That's Josh first, team second, as Fugate will depart, and in for the first time tonight is Nate Schakowsky. They'll get the ball in to Rogers, and he'll have to send the ball back out. 27-11, 3:53 left to go third quarter. Shot no good. Grubbs finally comes away with it. He'll lead the fast break all on his lonesome, 1-on-3, and he'll take it to the bucket. Won't get the bucket, but he will earn a trip to the free throw line on the foul committed by the Wildcats. And David Perkins, who is back in, commits the foul. That's his first. And Chris Grubbs is at the line shooting a pair. That one rims out. This is Grubbs' first trip to the line tonight. He has 8 points. Missed the first. He'll have one more free throw due. And he will sink it. So he splits the free throws, and he now has 9 points on the night, and the lead is 17 once again for the Royals, their biggest lead of the night. They'll feed down low into Perkins. Perkins nowhere to go. Gives it to Rogers, who lost it. Here comes DeLand Hooks. He'll take it, and he will be fouled from behind. Tyran Rogers hustled back, but if that's against Rogers, that's his third. So Rogers is hit with his third, and DeLand Hooks is at the free throw line. DeLand with his first free throws of the night. He has 2 points. He was scoreless in the first half, and he hits the first free throw. Matt Harris comes in for Bradley Beeman, and entering the lineup for Tyran Rogers is Jeremy Lee. Meanwhile, DeLand has one more free throw. I believe Matt Harris is waiting to come in should he make it. Hooks does, and it's Chris Kotlowski that's coming in. So Chris getting his first action as he comes in for DeLand, and the lead is 19 at 30-11 with 3:23 remaining in this third quarter. All Southeastern driving baseline and not getting the bucket, but earning a trip to the free throw line will be Andre Kirk. And Chris Kotlowski, who just entered the lineup, is hit with his first personal, third team foul, and Andre Kirk is at the line. So far, the Wildcats' only point in this third quarter has come from the charity stripe as Kirk misses. They've watched Hamilton Southeastern go on a 9-1 run to begin this third quarter, and Kirk's missed the first one, and he'll hit the second one, and that's the story of the free throw shooting for the Wildcats as they employ some pressure. As Shetkowski has the ball almost poked away, then throws it away into the hands of Tony Perkins, and Perkins is going to be fouled as Matt Harris, rather than give up the easy bucket, committed the foul. That's his second, and the fourth team foul. Tony Perkins is at the line, and he hits the first. So right now that's the extent of the Wildcat offense, is the charity stripe here in this third quarter. However, Perkins is able to sink both free throws. And now here's a ball that goes out of bounds as Grubbs tries to get it to Shetkowski, and another turnover. And quickly the Wildcats have the basketball again, but they trail by 16 at 30-14. But they will inbound right in front of their bench as Kirk gets the ball in. They get around Majak, and getting the bucket is Jackson Moulton, his first points. And it's down to a 14-point deficit with 3 minutes left to go in this third quarter. That's the first points from the field, as now we're going to have a reach-in foul by Tony Perkins on Chris Grubbs. For Perkins, that'll be his first 13 foul against the Wildcats. And triggering the inbounds will be Chris Kotlowski from the sideline in front of us. He lobs it to Majak. Majak finds Shetkowski underneath. Nate couldn't finish it, however, a good find. And here come the Wildcats dribbling the basketball. Now backing it out was Jeremy Lee. He'll send it left side to David Perkins, and there with the rebound is Majak, who will give it to Matt Harris, and Harris is going to need to get it across the timeline, which he will. 30-16, 2:27 left to go third quarter. Grubbs to Harris. Harris to Shetkowski. Nate will give the ball over to Matt Harris, left wing. And Matt being guarded by Jeremy Lee, and a whistle as Matt makes a move. We're going to have a stoppage of play and a foul called against the Wildcats with 2:12 left to go third quarter. It'll be the fourth team foul, and the first personal foul against Jeremy Lee is Josh Fugate will come in for Nate Shetkowski. Meanwhile, Matt Harris will trigger the inbound in front of the scorer's table and throw it into the backcourt to Fugate, who's picked up by Lee. Josh quickly into the front court, and as he tries to send it to the corner to Chris Kudlowski, it will be kicked, and the ball will belong to Hamilton Southeastern. So Kudlowski will trigger the inbound from the sideline with 2:06 remaining, and the Royals up by 14 at 30-16. I'm Brian Scott. As Harris drives, lays it up off the glass, and Matt Harris gets the bucket. He has 5. Tony Perkins will back the ball up, go right side to Andre Kirk. And Kirk looks to get a screen from Moulton, and then he will take the jumper just beyond the free throw line. It's off, and Matt Harris has the basketball. Harris into the front court to Grubbs. 1:28 as now that ball goes out of bounds, and a little miscommunication. Grubbs looked like he was expecting Josh Fugate to make a baseline cut, and Fugate didn't, and now Fugate's going to go sit. And it will be Brandon Miller coming in. So Grubbs was expecting the cut. It didn't come, and that ended up with it being a turnover against Hamilton Southeastern. But the Royals still lead by 16 at 32-16, doubling up on the Wildcats with 1:21 remaining in the third quarter. Moulton sends it out. Here's a 3 from David Perkins. It's off, no good. Matt Harris with a rebound. Matt is fouled or a timeout. And they will call the timeout. One official was going to call a foul, but the other official said that Coach Dave Merica called the timeout first. With 1:09 remaining left in the third quarter, Hamilton Southeastern has doubled up the Wildcats of Lawrence North by the score of 32-16. I'm Brian Scott. JV action, varsity to follow on Audio Sports Online. Again, the regular season finale here for Hamilton Southeastern. And they're getting their season over on a Thursday, which will give them some time. Again, they will play the very first game of the Carmel Sectional, and that's coming up on Tuesday. So we'll see what they do out of the timeout for Hamilton Southeastern. They have 3 timeouts remaining, as does the Wildcats. And the Wildcats will send out Tony Perkins, Jackson Moulton, Andre Kirk, David Perkins, and Jeremy Lee. And for Hamilton Southeastern, Chris Kudlowski, Chris Grubbs, Mabor Majak, Brandon Miller, and Matt Harris. As Kudlowski will inbound, and he will find Matt Harris. 1:07 left to go in the third as the Wildcats begin to bring some pressure, and now that ball gets through the hands of Majak. They'll leave it left side. Driving and having it knocked away was Tony Perkins, but I think they're going to get Matt Harris for the foul. For Matt, that's foul number 3, and it's the 5th team foul, and Tony Perkins is at the line where he has 6 points on the night and is 2 of 2 from the free throw line, both of those coming here in this quarter. And high-arcing free throw sinks the first. Bradley Beeman will come in. He'll take over for Chris Kudlowski. 59.3 seconds remain in the third. And Tony Perkins with one more free throw. He sinks them both. He has sank all 4 of his free throws, and he has 8 points. But the Royals lead 32-18. Wildcats looking for the trap, but the Royals get it into the front court. With 52 seconds, here's Chris Grubbs. Grubbs sends it left wing to Harris. Harris picked it up, but now finds Chris Grubbs. 40 seconds remaining as Majak looking to set a screen for Grubbs. They do the pick and roll, and Majak gets it but sends it back out to Beeman. Beeman in the lane, and as he drives, He was going to lay it off to Mabor Majak, but a whistle will stop play, and a foul is going to be called against the Wildcats. Goes against Jeremy Lee, the 5th team foul against the Wildcats. Both teams with 5 team fouls in this half. Here's Grubbs. He'll just launch it, and it'll be long and falls into the hands of Kirk. 22 seconds remain in this quarter. Southeastern leads 32-18. As Tony Perkins with the basketball, looks for the screen, kind of sloppy. He ends up sending it left side to Moulton. And now they'll send it down low. Driving and getting the bucket is getting underneath Mabor Majak was David Perkins. He has his first 2 points, and that's going to be the end of the third quarter. Our score, Hamilton Southeastern led by 11 after the end of 3. They pushed it to 19, but as we enter into the fourth quarter, they lead by 12, 32-20. Our final 7 minutes of JV basketball is coming up. This is Royals basketball on ASO. Ready for fourth quarter action. Our score, Hamilton Southeastern leads the Wildcats of Lawrence North by the score 32-20 in this JV affair. Hamilton Southeastern outscored the Wildcats 11-10 in that third quarter, as Lawrence North relied on the charity stripe for the majority of their points. They scored 10 points, 6 of them coming from the free throw line, but they trail by 12 but have the basketball to begin the final quarter. Is driving and heading to the hoop is Kirk. His shot no good. Majak with a rebound. He gets it to Beeman. Bradley Beeman in the front court finds Chris Grubbs, who throws it down with the right hand. 11 points for Chris Grubbs. The lead is 14. Driving the other way, and Grubbs with a flush of Moulton. He outlets it to Majak. Harris was able to get the basketball, and the Royals still have possession, though Majak looked like he was going to be in a position to maybe get that ball and flush it down. But the Royals have the basketball up by 14, 34-20, and now they will set the offense. As Beeman has it stripped away by Tony Perkins, he will send it over to Jeremy Lee, and as Lee heads to the hoop, he's going to be fouled on his way there. It'll be the 16th foul against Hamilton Southeastern. And the foul is going to be called against Chris Grubbs, and that'll be Grubbs first. And at the line will be Jeremy Lee. Jeremy Lee. Lee has yet to score a point in this game, and he started the basketball game, but he did not start the second half, and he misses both free throws as Dayland Hooks gets the rebound and brings it into the front court. Here's Beeman for 3. That's just a little short, comes off the weak side, and with a rebound is Kirk. He'll find Lee. Lee right side, 3 on the way. That one's up and good by Tony Perkins. And the Wildcats hit their first 3 of the contest, but it cuts the deficit to 11 at 34-23. Grubbs drives, sends it out to Hooks, all alone. 3 on the way. It's nailed. Dalen Hooks with the 3. The answers the Wildcats 3. He has 7, and it's back to a 14-point advantage. And now Hooks with a steal. And still trying to get the ball out, and a whistle and a foul. And Andre Kirk is going to be hit with a foul. That's his 6th. So the next foul will put the Royals at the line, and conversely, the Royals also with 16 fouls, so we'll be shooting free throws the rest of the way. Grubbs with the basketball. He leaves it to Fugate, joined by Beeman, Hooks, and Matt Harris. Fugate, left side. Chris Grubbs drives baseline, sends it back out to Beeman. Over to Harris, launches the three from the corner, and Matt Harris nails the three from the corner. Harris with 8 points, and the lead is back to 17 just like that on a pair of threes. One from Hooks and one from Harris. Ball is tipped up, and it goes out of bounds, and they say it will belong to the Wildcats. Hamilton Southeastern had 3 3-point baskets in that first half. They had none in the third quarter, but they've hit 2 here in the fourth to send the lead up to 17 at 40-23 as Cole Hornbuckle set to check back in on the next dead ball for Dave Merica. Driving is Lee, and he'll lose the basketball, but they'll say it went off of a Royal. Hornbuckle is going to come in, and he will take over for Bradley Beeman. 4:31 remains in this fourth and final quarter here of the JV. And the Wildcats will have to throw it into the backcourt, and going up is David Perkins. Perkins drives, floats in the air, too strong, and the rebound comes in the hands of Dayland Hooks. Hooks with the basketball, take it to the bucket, had it partially blocked, but Hornbuckle had the loose ball, and he'll send it out to Matt Harris, and the Royals will reset the offense. As they tried to send the ball to Chris Grubbs, Jackson Moulton will knock it out of bounds, and it'll stay at this end with the Royals up by 17 with 4:10 left to play. Grubbs gets it inbounds to Josh Fugate. Fugate finds Matt Harris left side trying to get to Dayland Hooks. And they're going to say it went off of Hooks, though it looked like Andre Kirk is the one that touched it. But they're going to give the ball to the Wildcats, to Dave Merica's dismay. And that play happened right in front of the Southeastern bench, so they had a good look at it. Under 4 minutes left to play. Here's a three by Moulton, and he drains it. Moulton with the three. He has 5, 2 threes, and now almost a steal. Hooks is finally able to get it to Fugate, who gets it to Harris. Harris to Grubbs, goes baseline, has it stripped away and into the hands of Moulton, left side to Tony Perkins. Perkins, bounce pass to Jeremy Lee, launches the three, and Lee's made the three. And a timeout's going to be called, a 30-second timeout by the Wildcats, I believe. And while we only saw 3 3-point baskets in totality for the first 3 quarters, here in the fourth, we've had 5 total, with the Wildcats draining 3 of them. But they trail by 11 at 40-29 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. I'm Brian Scott. Varsity game to follow. We'll also be talking to you about sectional action that is coming up next week. We'll do that at the halftime break. And it is senior night here at Hamilton Southeastern High School. 7 seniors being recognized. We'll tell you who those 7 are when we get the varsity game going. Still, 3 minutes and 30 seconds remain in this junior varsity affair. The Royals have led by as much as 19. They led by 17 just a few minutes ago, and now they lead by 11. Here's Grubbs, comes up left side, leaves it off to Majak. Majak fumbled it for a minute, now hands the ball off to Hornbuckle. Hornbuckle pinned against the sideline, and now a timeout called by Coach Dave Merica, and we'll see. I'm sure he'll use a 30-second timeout. He will. Royals have 2 timeouts left, a 30 and a full, and the Wildcats have 2 timeouts, 2 full, with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. Wildcats, of course, have picked up their defense here in this fourth quarter. They have gone to a press defense, trapping at every opportunity. And while that has gotten them some buckets, Southeastern has also been able to counter that with some threes of their own. Royals led by 11. By 12. At the end of the third quarter, they lead by 11 now. They'll get the ball into Chris Grubbs. As they try to trap Grubbs, they get the ball to Harris. Harris gives it to Majak, who fumbled it out. Mabora has shown some very good agility. He has shown a good deal of presence protecting the rim and has done very good defensively and also good free throw shooting, but he has still had some issues simply hanging on to the basketball as Jeremy Lee drives right through the heart of the lane after allowing the ball to roll to the midcourt stripe to conserve some time, and he's going to be fouled. It'll be the 7th team foul against Hamilton Southeastern. And it'll be the 3rd against Cole Hornbuckle. So Jeremy Lee is at the line, and while it's the 7th team foul, they'll say Lee was in the act of shooting, so he will have 2 free throws. And he finally hits one. He was 0 for 2 before that free throw. That free throw makes it a 10-point game, 40-30, and this one could make it a single-digit deficit, which he does, as he now has 5 points. It's a 9-point lead for the Royals. They get it to Harris. Harris into the front court. He'll give it left side to Hornbuckle, back to Matt Harris. 2:58 left to play in the 4th. They get Chris Grubbs, and Grubbs is going to be upended. They're just going to say it went out of bounds. He was going up for the alley-oop. There was contact with him and Jeremy Lee, but they will not call the foul. They'll simply say it went out of bounds, and the ball will belong to the Wildcats. They trail by 9 as David Perkins gives it up. This is Moulton. Moulton back to Andre Kirk, launches the 3, shot no good. And Hornbuckle, as he went to get the rebound, he was bumped off by Tony Perkins, but they'll say the ball went off of the Wildcats, and Southeastern will have the basketball up by 9 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this 4th quarter. As Fugate gets it, gives it back to Harris, and Harris is going to be bumped, and Jeremy Lee is going to be hit with a foul, and that's the 7th team foul against the Wildcats. Lee's 3rd, and we'll head to the other end of the court where the 1-and-1 will be in effect, and Matt Harris will be at the free throw line. Harris with 8 points. He's 3 of 4 from the line, and he will be at the line with the 1-and-1. That one's no good, however, and Perkins has the rebound. It remains 40-31 in favor of Southeastern, but Perkins with the basketball and loses it, goes out, and Jacques saves it to Hornbuckle. Hornbuckle to Fugate, and then a reach-in by David Perkins means once again we're heading to the other end of the court for some more free throws, as Perkins will be hit with his 2nd. It is the 8th team foul, and Josh Fugate is at the line with a 1-and-1. Fugate has 3 points. He's 1 of 1 from the line, make it 2 of 2 as he hits that, and we'll get the bonus. That free throw pushes the lead back to double digits at 10, 41-31 with 2:22 remaining in the 4th. Hornbuckle will depart, and Cam Harris will come in for the first time tonight. Meanwhile, Fugate with one more free throw. He got the first. He misses the bonus. Majak tried to tip it out, couldn't, and the Wildcats have the basketball trailing by 10. Driving and missing was Moulton. Grubbs comes away with it. He will drive. He will send it back. I think he was trying to get Majak, but Fugate chased down the loose ball. Sends it out the corner to Chris Grubbs with 2:03 remaining. Southeastern leads 41-31 with 2 minutes left to go in this basketball game. Fugate stops in the lane, sends it out to Grubbs. Grubbs drives, sends it over to Cam Harris, and Cam Harris finishes it off at the bucket. And a good job, good patient offense there by Southeastern getting the easy bucket, as the timeout's going to be called by Hamilton Southeastern. They'll call a 30-second timeout. They'll have one remaining, as Southeastern now leads by 12 with 1:49 left to go here in quarter number 4. Varsity action coming up as Southeastern comes in this week ranked 12th, even after that loss to Brownsburg last Friday. And they'll take on a fairly decent Lawrence North team. Some polls have Lawrence North, the coaches poll have them ranked 19th in the state. AP has them unranked, but among probably one of the top 25 teams. We'll be talking about that as we get the varsity game underway, which will be coming up, I would say, tonight a little after 7:30. As we still have a minute 49 left to go here. Starting to see some coaching staff come in. Warren Central's coaching staff is here tonight, and that is because the Wildcats will be who the Warriors will play to begin their sectionals. As driving is Tony Perkins, and he's fouled. He's going to earn a trip to the line as the bonus is in effect, and Mabora Majak will be hit with his third. It's the 8th team foul, and they'll actually say Perkins was in the act of shooting. So it's a 2-shot foul. Tony Perkins has 11 points. He's 4 for 4 from the free throw line, but he misses the first there. Southeastern leads 43-31. A minute 44 remains. And Perkins with one more free throw. Second free throw is up. He makes that. He has 12 points. It is an 11-point lead for Southeastern as Fugate finds Harris, who finds Matt Harris. And now double team comes, and getting the basketball was Andre Kirk and calling a timeout to keep the possession, and that will leave the Wildcats with one remaining. Both teams with a timeout remaining, and both of them are full timeouts. 43-32, Southeastern has the lead, but the Wildcats with the steal, and we'll see if they can dip it back into single-digit territory, at least their deficit, I should say, with a minute 33 remaining. I'm Brian Scott. Thanks for joining me for Royals basketball this season on Audio Sports Online. And after tonight, we'll move to the IHSAA tournament. That'll begin Tuesday with Hamilton Southeastern taking on their, well, we can officially say it, they're really now longtime rivals. This series has been going on for over 11 years now, so we can call it a longtime rival in the Fishers Tigers. And a very tough matchup for Hamilton Southeastern. The Tigers took the Royals to double overtime down in Indianapolis at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum earlier this season before Southeastern pulled away with the win. And these same Tigers just beat Zionsville last Friday. So they have been improving as the season has worn on. Meanwhile, here are the Wildcats. With the three is Tony Perkins. Shot no good. Majak with a rebound. He finds Grubbs. Grubbs will take it, and he will flush it down with two hands. 13 points for Chris Grubbs. That is the lead for Southeastern. 3 from the corner. That's on its way, and it is good by Andre Kirk. The 4th three-point basket for the Wildcats here in this quarter. And that makes it a 10-point game as Majak will leave and Dayland Hooks will enter. Also, Bradley Beeman now coming in. He'll come in for Cam Harris. 63 seconds remain. Southeastern with a 45-35 advantage. The Wildcats picking up that full court pressure once again. Beeman has the ball stolen away. They'll get it down low. They'll feed Jackson, and Jackson will, or Tony Perkins, excuse me. And Perkins will finish it off. This time they will send it deep. Moulton and Matt Harris will tie it up. And the possession error will favor Southeastern. So the Wildcats with some pressure here in this fourth quarter, and they've been very successful with it. It's now an 8-point game. Both teams with 8 team fouls. And Fugate will inbound to Bradley Beeman. Beeman back to Fugate. Fugate to Grubbs. Grubbs, they find Beeman at the free throw line. They try to bounce it. No kick ball. And here comes the Wildcats finishing it off and missing the layup. But Moulton is there to finish it off. Jackson Moulton gets the basket. Meanwhile, Coach Dave Merica was looking for a kick ball at the other end. while the Wildcats are going to take their final timeout. So they have used their final timeout with 29.8 seconds remaining. It's a 6-point gain at 45-39. Credit three-point shooting by the Wildcats here in this fourth quarter, and also some very aggressive pressure defense. They have come away with some steals, some turnovers, some easy buckets, and they have taken what at times has been a 17-point lead, and at times at their greatest, a 19-point advantage, and they have now cut it to 6 with 29.8 seconds remaining. So we'll see what Coach Dave Merrick will do out of the timeout. Royals have one timeout remaining. Both teams have committed 18 fouls, so both teams are still in the 1-1. And now the possession arrow will favor the Wildcats. Out of the timeout, it'll be Matt Harris, DeLand Hooks, Chris Grubbs, Bradley Beeman, and Josh Fugate. It is Tony Perkins, Jeremy Lee, Andre Kirk, David Perkins, and Jackson Moulton on the court for the Wildcats. Hooks to inbound from the baseline. 29.8 seconds remain. They get it to Beeman. Beeman finds Harris. Harris drives, sends it to Grubbs. Grubbs had an easy drive baseline, but the Wildcats are able to commit the foul before that time, as they were going to give up the easy 2. And the foul is going to go against Tony Perkins, his second, 9th team, and Matt Harris is at the line where he is 3 of 6, 1-1. And he sinks the first. That pushes the lead to 7. Second free throw on the way. Harris sinks them both, so 2 big clutch free throws from Matt Harris. Mabor Majak will return, and he'll come in for Matt Harris. 47-39, 25.7 seconds remain as they roll it up to the midcourt stripe. And Perkins will launch a 3. That's off. DeLand Hooks with a rebound with 19 seconds, and now he is fouled. And we'll head to the other end where the double bonus is now in effect, as that is the 10th team foul against the Wildcats. DeLand Hooks will be at the line shooting a pair. David Perkins will be hit with his third, and Hooks with 2 shots. And right now, Coach Jim Stanbro with the final game of their season as well, their JV season, as Hooks misses. He's going to have a whole host of substitutions to get the players a few seconds, 17.1 seconds to be precise, as Duante Daniel, Christian Anderson, Dorian Hatton, DeMar Craig, and Jacob Pfeiffer. Meanwhile, Hooks sank the second free throw. That 3 is off. 7 seconds remain. The ball is dribbled off the foot, and Royals have the basketball up by 9 with 6.3 seconds remaining, as Grubbs will look to inbound. He'll find Majak. Majak will dribble it up as we get under 3 seconds. He'll throw it over to Hooks, and that's the end of the basketball game. Final score, Hamilton Southeastern defeats Lawrence North by the score of 48-39. We'll have some final stats in a moment. This is Royals basketball on ASO. Welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern High School. Varsity action coming up in about 25 minutes. Right now, let's give you some final stats for the JV contest. For Hamilton Southeastern, they have defeated the Wildcats 48-39. They were led by Chris Grubbs, who made his first game back in quite a while. He scored 13 points, 10 points for Matt Harris, 8 points for DeLynn Hook, 6 points for Bradley Beeman, 4 points for Josh Fugate, 3 points for Cole Hornbuckle, 2 points each for Cam Harris and Mabor Majak. For Lawrence North, they were led by 14 points from Tony Perkins, 7 points from Jackson Moulton, 6 points from Andre Kirk, 5 points each from both Jeremy Lee and Tyran Rogers, 2 points from David Perkins. The Wildcats shot 9 of 14 from the free throw line. They hit 4 threes, all of them coming in that fourth quarter. For Hamilton Southeastern, 11 of 16 from the charity stripe, 3 threes on the games. Southeastern led 10-2 after the end of the first period, 21-10 at the break, 32-20 after 3. They were up by as much as 19 in this game. They win by 9, 48-39. That's it for JV action. Varsity action coming up in just a little bit. This is Hamilton Southeastern basketball on Audio Sports Online.